We got some good, we got some bad, and we got this one right here, which kind of falls a lot into the prior, because we got the Supreme Court unanimously rebuffs Biden administration on warrantless search for handguns. Yay, this is a win for the Second Amendment crowd, of course, which I am definitely a part of. The Supreme Court unanimously rejected Biden administration arguments in a case from Rhode Island that police should be allowed to enter homes without a warrant to seize handguns. You don't want that. Don't want that at all whatsoever. Oh, that person could have some handguns. Oh, okay, cool. We're just going to go in there and take them. You're not supposed to be here. Where's your warrant? Don't need one. What? Like I said in the previous video, Biden's been signing a bunch of shit, whatever's been put in front of him. Listen, he's a big old gun grabber, but at the same time, I would hope, I guess, my hope and my faith that is put in the old Joe Biden, the one that could actually deliver a speech prior, that's starting to definitely crumble, just like him, as the days go on. But I would have hoped that he would have been at least for the protection of private property and ownership rights. Oh, right. His handlers are socialists at best and communists at worst. That makes sense. You will own nothing and you will like it. The ruling in the case, Kanglia v. Strom, court filed 2157, the docket number, came May 17th, today, fresh off the hop. Eric Pratt, Senior Vice President of Gun Owners of America, the good version of the NRA, the good version, and the affiliated Gun Owners Foundation praised the new decision, yes, as such. The Supreme Court today smacked down the hopes of gun grabbers across the nation, said Pratt. The Michael Bloombergs of the world would have loved to see the Supreme Court grant police the authority to confiscate firearms without a warrant, but the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that the Fourth Amendment protection in the Bill of Rights protects gun owners from such invasions into their homes. Now, I'll just be interested to see how far that will extend, because the Fourth Amendment is an illegal search and seizure of your property, of your personal property. Now, if this is specifically for your home, now, how will this ruling be interpreted going forward? Will that mean that an officer is not allowed to illegally search, or rather not illegally, because that's kind of self-defeating, if they're allowed to search your vehicle, camper, whatever you're using, a side-by-side or an ATV out hunting? Are they allowed to search the compartments in that, or will this ruling override that? I would love to see that figured out as well. See how it's going to be interpreted in the future. This came before the High Court for oral arguments 2 months ago as President Joe Biden and congressional Democrats began pressing for aggressive new restrictions on the Second Amendment gun ownership rights, including controversial red flag laws, which allow gun seizures from law-abiding gun owners with limited due process in the wake of the highly publicized deadly mass shooters. Yes, that white Arab guy in Boulder, Colorado, and the Coomer shooter in Atlanta. And just a little refresher, what are red flag laws? Using hearsay and conjecture to take away your right to own and purchase firearms. Like if you get, this is H.R. 127, because H.R. 1 is the election integrity bill, which is dead on arrival in the Senate anyways for a numerous amount of reasons, but 127 for the same reasons, because Sinema's going to be up for election soon, and she's trying to maintain this idea that I'm a moderate. No, you're not. You're a cunt. And Joe Manchin, who's the last person in the room to realize that he's actually a Republican, but he still really likes the blue suits that he has. These red flag laws are a part of H.R. 127. Which I remember this specifically in there, okay? Interviews need to be conducted in order for you to purchase a firearm. And the interviews need to be conducted by any family members, including spouses and ex-spouses. And if anybody comes back saying something mean or doesn't allow you to pass the background check, yeah, you wouldn't be allowed to purchase a firearm. So yeah, if you want those, that's cool. But now we're getting close, dangerously close to prosecuting mind crimes. And I'm not comfortable with that. Not on really any level. But what else is the Supreme Court up to? And this ought to ruffle a whole bunch of feathers. And this is probably about where my personal opinion on abortion lies. Supreme Court agrees to take on major abortion case. And it cannot be overstated that this is a major one, because it could finally put limitations. And it could overrule that terrible, disgusting overreach. And this is the long since departed Ruth Bader Ginsburg's opinion as well, that Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional and an overreach. It should be decided state by state, right? That's where, if that magical ruling, the one that every blue-haired land whale who would never ever get close to being impregnated anyways would be championing as it's a women's rights issue, but for a multitude of reasons. It's not. You don't really have the right to kill off another living being that can exist with the help of modern medicine. At least that's my opinion, and that's what the Supreme Court's going to be deciding as well, because the United States Supreme Court on Monday agreed to take a major abortion case and would consider Mississippi's appeal of a lower court ruling that reversed a ban on most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. So that's going to be the new line, and that's the one I know I'm fine with, okay? Because that's the first time that a heartbeat can be detected, okay? I think that's what it was called in Mississippi as well, the heartbeat bell. Okay? Once that is detected, no more abortions. And 15 weeks, yeah, that's more than enough time. That is first trimester. If you can't figure it out before then, if you're going to be a capable mother, if you're going to be bringing that kid into a good situation, then I want the Supreme Court to be deciding on whether a post 21, 22, 23-year abortion is fine. This case will grant the Supreme Court the opportunity to reconsider landmark abortion rulings, including Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood Planned Parenthood, with Roe v. Wade in a ruling that was derided by conservatives and religious adherents. The High Court in 73 ruled that a woman had a right to an abortion and reaffirmed it about 20 years later. In a single line, the court wrote, the petition for a writ of certiorari is granted, limited to question 1 presented by the petition. The announcement Monday is being seen as a boon for opponents to abortion who have long sought to overturn Roe v. Wade and who are pinning their hopes on a more conservative Supreme Court after Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who I have a multitude of issues with. But when it comes to the Second Amendment and when it comes to these types of decisions, she seems pretty based on. But when it comes to religious freedom, not so much, even though she's supposed to be this devout Catholic. And even Dianne Feinstein, if you remember during her confirmation hearing at the state level when she was on the appellate courts, the dogma of your religion lives deep within you. Thanks, Diane Sidious. Yeah, she didn't really stand up. ACB didn't really stand up to that when the Supreme Court was deciding on whether or not capacity limits for churches in California and New York were up in front of the Supreme Court. And then she also just deferred everything for the longest time because I couldn't get up to speed on certain cases, even though you're supposed to be the smartest woman to literally ever practice law ever. Lagoa would have been a much better decision. Anyways, shall not cry over spilt milk, of course. The Supreme Court will start hearing arguments in this case in October. Oh boy, and we will be hearing from the screeching motherfucking catwomen for between now and then. I'd imagine it's probably just taken over Twitter, but who gives a shit what they have to say? Because who would fuck those land whales anyways? The 2 other justices nominated by former President Donald Trump, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, voted in dissent last year to allow Louisiana to enforce restrictions on doctors that could have closed 2 of the state's 3 abortion clinics. So where does this come from? This case stems from the 2018 Gestational Age Act that was passed in Mississippi, which allowed abortions after 15 weeks only in medical emergencies or in a case involving severe fetal abnormality. That seems pretty fair. Later, federal district court judge Carlton Reeves stuck his fucking nose where it doesn't belong. Struck the law down and said Mississippi chose to pass a law it knew was unconstitutional. How so? To enforce a decades-long campaign fueled by interest groups to ask the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the ruling by Reeves, who was appointed by of course it was somebody appointed by Barry, because who were the 2 most radical judges on the court? Sotomayor and Kagan. And who were they appointed by? Shouldn't be redundant. America cannot be a humane, civilized society if its courts preclude lawmakers from imposing reasonable limits on taking an innocent life, Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch said. Yep, I will be interested, rather. Let's use proper grammar, shall we? To see how this goes. We gotta wait until October. The screeching will be, I think, probably at the same levels as Kavanaugh appointment time, because this one right here could definitely set precedent. 15 weeks, I think that's fair. If we're at a point where we can't really argue that it's not going to happen under extremely rare, because what was abortion supposed to be? Extremely rare? and under the most strenuous of circumstances. And now it's just been like, okay, come in, buy 6, get the 7th free. Then you have disgusting, we'll invoke them again in Twitter campaigns where it's like, shout your abortion. Where it's like, I understand the need for it sometimes, but multiple and trying to wear it as a badge of honor, I don't think that sits right with anybody. At least anybody with decent common sense. That's where we get into our last story, because some justice was not quite carried out, but it is New York after all. So from the headline, this doesn't nearly tell enough of the story. Man who beat little Zymere Perkins to death gets 25 years to life in prison. A man and his wife, or girlfriend, whatever it was at the time, beat, tortured, and destroyed a little 6-year-old child. That's what else they don't put in the headline. Yeah, this is thoroughly disgusting. And the fact that they didn't just take him out back and let somebody else take up that prison cell is disheartening. Disheartening to say the best. A Harlem man convicted of the horrific murder of girlfriend's 6-year-old son was hit with a maximum prison term on Monday by a judge who rejected his claim in court that he loved the boy. Yeah, you wouldn't do what you did if you loved the boy. Rysheim Smith, 47 years old, was sentenced to 25 years to life in the 2016 death of Zymere Perkins in Manhattan Supreme Court. Smith was convicted of murder and manslaughter charges in a case in January after what Judge Ruth Pickholtz described as a long and shouldn't have been that long, shouldn't have been that difficult what this motherfucker did. Whew. And I will. This one, I had to include this because what his mother got after admitting that she was also culpable in this torture, this 6-year-old kid. I'll let you decide because it's tough. So yeah, it was a long and difficult trial that included horrific photos of the youngster's injuries. How could it be long and difficult? Despite how the prosecution has spoken about me, I loved Zymere Perkins. I will not be reading this sack of shit's fucking tale of lies. Yeah, you should just be using that little fucking dark dot on your forehead as a target. This child, this 6-year-old innocent, existed in living hell, Pickholtz said in court. He was tortured, he was starved, and he was forced to stand at night and not lay down. Yes, his teachers tried. And again, public school teachers. You have all of these options, okay? It's a little bit different up here in Canada. A kid can be taken away because his father doesn't use the proper fucking pronouns, but at the same time, this 6-year-old kid, has to stand up like a fucking horse to sleep at night in a dingy there is sometimes a reminder that truly evil people do exist. Child did not see any love at home, she said. He died a horrible death. The jury found that he died at the hands of Mr. Smith. Smith was convicted of second-degree murder, and 2 counts of manslaughter and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Goes without saying. Zymere died September 26, 2016, after what the prosecutors described as months of abuse by Smith and the boy's mother, including beatings with a broomstick. Smith also shoved Zymere into a cold shower, then hung him, wet and unconscious, from a hook before throwing the youngster into the wall. Zymere didn't have to imagine anything to be afraid of. He didn't have monsters. He had 2 horrible human beings living down the hall next to him. She had Smith and his boy's mother, who are equally responsible for this depraved murder. Yep. She received a plea deal to testify in the trial in exchange for a 2 to 6-year prison sentence. How? How do you justify that? Perkins testified at the trial that she spent 10 minutes putting on makeup before taking her son's lifeless body to the hospital. During the summation, defense lawyer Arnold Levine alleged that it was Perkins, not Smith, who killed the youngster. She was culpable and she should be getting a similar sentence. And the fact that they can just go to prison and not be hung up by a hook after being thrown into a wet shower, after being forced to stand all night, just for what? Some kind of anything that I can say is not justice for this. This is not justice at all whatsoever. 25 years to life, yeah. Oh, but he'll face a tough time in prison. No, these people go in there and eventually you just get accustomed to your surroundings. And you might catch a beating every once in a while, but it's nothing like this kid who got his ass kicked every night for 6 years, who had more than 30 rib fractures. And then his mother will just be in and out of the system because there's no justice. There is no justice. There is no fair accountability system when it comes to women in the justice system. What? You want a perfect one-to-one example? You want an apples-to-apples example? She was there. Okay? She decided to, what, just snitch on the other guy, and she gets, 2 years? She'll be out in 1. I would love to see this get appealed up to the Supreme Court, and then both of them just, I don't know, get the chair or hit the gallows or drug behind a speedboat. I just hope that something similarly awful to what little Zymere had to go through happens to them repeatedly forever. But we're going to talk about anything that's a little bit more uplifting than this, like I don't know, a natural disaster, a house fire, the SPCA got set on fire. Literally anything could be brighter and more optimistic than this story. I just had to share this because it is disgusting, and I don't see anybody else talking about it. And in my opinion, justice was not carried out here. But let's not dwell on this any further. Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.